on live. Okay.
I'm going to just start, guys.
Do it.
Gentlemen, ladies, welcome to slashMLS cast. This doesn't matter at all to you guys, but this is the latest we've ever started an episode. So if any of us fall asleep or just go a little crazy, deal with it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. My name's Chris. I'm ready, username PatLaneups11.
I'm Ian, username Armaskarhu.
And I'm Pete, username PunkRockPete.
That's it for tonight. You guys have to just deal with us.
End of story. That is it.
Guest. Jeff, I don't even remember Jeff's last name right now, guys.
It's in there.
Ross.
Thank you.
Jeff Ross will be here.
Yes.
World famous Jeff Ross. I think the next MLS personality. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Hopefully, we'll advocate for him.
I mean, yeah, he's going to get the /MLS bump. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But so he'll be in a little later. So let's just get started. I think the biggest thing to talk about.
We also have another guest today.
Uh-oh.
Oh, double guest alert.
It's almost as if I just came in at the last minute and don't know what's going on, and I'm the reason it's starting. So that's kind of what I'm getting here.
Anyway, Iron Goalie's username Iron Goalie's joining us like at the second half at some point.
Iron Goalie will be in the second half.
It might even be a part 2 of a podcast. We might split this into 2. We have the space now.
We don't even know. We'll let you guys know later, even though you'll know before this, but we don't know. Guys, sometimes technology is a little like time travel, and it gets a little tricky.
If the title of this podcast says part 1, you'll have a good idea that there's a second part coming.
Hopefully you'll have a good idea. You might just be stupid. I don't know.
I feel like we should just label it part 1 regardless now, even if this ends up being one episode.
Oh, that would be amazing. Guys, let's talk about soccer. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, I think the biggest thing to talk about this week, goal of the week candidates this week, hands down,
Jesus.
the best we've seen. It was insane.
It was okay.
All right, we're going to mute Ian for the rest of the podcast. It's just me and you, Pete.
Here we go.
Don't get yourself muted.
Hey, you know what? That's fair because both of our teams have a goal of the week candidate.
Yeah, we do. Does DC not have a goal of the week?
I don't know why. Eddie Johnson scored. I thought that was the biggest deal of the week. what the?
Funny because
Eddie Johnson gets snubbed from the national team, and then he's like, you know what? Fuck everything. I'm gonna go score a goal against Montreal, who are Canadian. So whatever.
We talked a little bit about this throughout the week. How many revenge goals did we see against the idea of not being in the World Cup?
3 at least.
Three at least pretty important, out there ones, which was Eddie Johnson getting snubbed and scoring. We had Defoe getting snubbed and scoring. Josh was quick to point out that he's on the 30-man, the alternate list, but I'm going to call that a snub, and that goal, that rocket of a goal, is definitely a...
Yeah, he put that goal in with prejudice.
That's right.
That's like a fuck everything in this world. This is going to destroy the Nets in Toronto, and we're going to have to quit playing, and we win.
Guys, I wasn't here for the past 2 weeks, but I listened, and we are just bringing fuck to the table now, aren't we?
Oh, we're just dropping it left and right.
Did you not hear the opening of the interview with Matt Doyle?
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah.
Everybody couldn't wait to go to town. So what's our third? What's our third vengeance goal?
Our third is Obafemi Martins getting snubbed from the Nigerian team, and honestly, a goal of the year candidate. That was a fucking ridiculous goal.
Here's the thing I have. Here's the problem I have with naming that goal of the year. Can you name something goal of the year if it involved actual magic? It doesn't fair.
You're saying performing and enhancing magic is a ban from goal of the year?
I think it should be.
All right, I can dig that. I'm okay with a little magic on my team if we're not going to get the recognition in the media. It's no problem. Everybody's always keeping Seattle down. We don't talk a lot about Seattle. We're one of those smaller teams that people don't say much about. So it's all right. That's all right.
Well, then.
Now this is more magic than that Nyarko goal against New York because Martins was actually trying to do this, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think there was a lot of debate. There was a lot of debate about, the shot cross, the Schross, as you will. But the thing is, there's absolutely nobody in the box. There's nobody coming into the box. He takes
Right.
a strong look at the back corner and knows exactly what he's doing. I think it surprises him that he actually makes it, but it is
Yeah, his
100%.
head shake after.
Someone pointed out that there were no backflips after that goal. He just could. He didn't even understand what.
He was so surprised, but yeah, I mean, it was clearly an attempt on goal. There's no one to be crossing it to. He's not just gonna let the ball bounce around and wait for somebody to show up. And I
think
gotta
part of
say,
me, I think part of me would be bummed if it didn't end up being goal of the year because I think it's probably the most impressive goal that will be scored all year. But it almost seemed more like it was a prayer than it was pure skill. That wasn't exactly what he planned in that situation, and if he did, I think he was just trying to get the ball over the keeper, see what happened.
yeah, definitely trying to chip him. The thing is that we have to remember there are only 34 goals of the week, but there are 64 goals of the year nomination at the beginning of the voting. So there's just no way that goal doesn't make it. And honestly, I would think that there's a pretty good chance that Higuain and Defoe are going to make it into that 64. We saw some pretty great goals this week.
I was surprised more by Higuain's goal than I was by Opa's goal, because I didn't realize you could chip Ricketts from that far. I didn't realize that was humanly possible.
But Higuain did that a couple of times last year, right, Chris?
He had 2 weeks in a row with very similar chips from distance, and we actually saw. I want to say we saw 2 in the preseason also where he chipped keepers. It's just what he does.
It's his finishing move.
If the goalkeeper is out of space, he's going to chip that keeper.
So should he be mad that he got left off the Argentina team?
I don't think so because Argentina's pretty good at soccer.
Yeah, they are a decent soccer team, and he's definitely a high quality player. Nobody's gonna argue that, but I mean, Argentina's pretty fucking stacked.
I was mostly kidding. Mostly.
I mean, amongst the Argentinians in MLS, I gotta say he's up there. He's top 3, if not top 1. I'm just gonna go
No,
that.
he's top 2. It's him or Valeri, and then it's a drop off to the next guy who I don't.
Yeah, but we do have some great Argentinians in the league, and they have some even better players elsewhere.
Can I include 2011 Mauro Rosales? Is that fair?
No.
He
was good.
Are we not time travelers right now?
Okay, I mean, if you're gonna include him, I'm gonna include 2006 Christian Gomez. So.
All right, guys, we got way off track here.
Hey, some games happened. Can we talk about them?
Go for it. Be my guest.
I don't want to talk about my game though. My game sucked.
That's what you can talk about whatever you want.
Oh,
Go.
cool.
Now.
What game interests you right now?
New England. Holy
no
shit.
shot, man. That is. I feel honestly like I know that Seattle should be better than Philly, but seeing New England drop 5 goals a second week in a row did feel a little bit better. Not a whole lot, but a little bit.
And
do you guys think they're gonna? I'm not gonna ask if you think they're gonna keep having 5-goal games, but do you think their offensive streak is going to continue forward?
I don't think it's going to continue, obviously, at this rate, or even at like a 3.5 goal a game rate. But I do think, because we saw a similar, we've seen similar like a couple game streaks from teams, and it never really, carries on to the rest of the season. But I think New England does have the most dangerous attack in the league right now.
And they're not a slouch on defense. They're not playing arguably like the Sounders have been, where they score a bunch of goals and let in a couple. I mean, yeah, that happened this week, but like overall, they might not continue the offensive, fireworks. But
5-3 was really generous to Philly, by the way. Those last 2 goals, New England had already checked out. Like, oh, we're up 5-1, 75th minute, whatever.
Absolutely, and I just. Whether they keep, like Ian said, 3.5 goals or whatever, I think they keep picking up points. I think New England has a real strong challenge in the East. I think that I don't know if they're going to beat Kansas City to the top, but they're going to be right there.
I think they will. They don't have anyone. I think Kansas City's lost 2 in a row, and those, granted, they've both been World Cup games, but I mean that's kind of the thing, right? If they're gonna beat them to the top of the Eastern Conference. New England misses nobody.
Yeah, it's right now. This is the time for them to be
Yeah,
collecting
this
points, and they're doing it.
yes. And
I feel
Kansas
like it's
City.
just that time of year in the East where the table just flips on its end. I think it happens every year. We have Chicago winning. We have Kansas City losing. We have New England rising.
Who
We have
predicted that
New York
Chicago would
falling.
win this week?
Josh did.
Josh did, because I predicted it the previous week, and Josh made, as he called, a ridiculous bold claim. But Chicago does it again. I mean,
I
are
said it
we?
wasn't. I said it. I said it. Nobody heard me, but I said that it wasn't because Zusi and Beasler would be gone, and they might miss those guys more than we thought
Yeah,
in a
I
really
think. I think
tight
that's
East against New
yeah.
England and shit.
But are you saying that more credit goes to Kansas City for not having those players, or are we seeing a turnaround in Chicago?
Um, Benji
Chicago's
Boya.
looked pretty bad up until the last few
Not
weeks.
really though. They looked bad at the beginning of the year when they lost to Chivas and didn't win any games. But then they went on that
That was not great.
yeah.
I stand by my statement.
But they went okay, so they did the Portland thing where they tied a whole bunch of games in a row, and then it's like what you said. It's like, oh, we're winless in 6, and now that they've won, I mean, they lost that RSL game, so
Undefeated
this
in
isn't.
7,
Yeah,
yeah.
if they had held on and not lost that game against RSL in hilarious fashion, then they'd be undefeated in 8 right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, I want to point out that doing that Portland thing, that they do have more wins than Portland, so there's that.
they are Portland. I can't wait for Portland to start beating teams. I wish they would have. No offense, I wish they would
Watch your
have
mouth.
beaten Columbus
Watch that mouth.
because they're not beating any of my Eastern. Their one win is against us. That's totally not helpful. We need, we need them to beat East teams. I don't want to fight everybody.
Why do you want Portland to be so successful? What's your drive?
He just wants East teams to lose.
Yeah, that's my drive.
Oh, got it.
And
Okay.
Portland hasn't been doing their job.
Hey, you know what? The Sounders have 3 losses, all 3 to Eastern teams that we see once a year. So
Yeah, what the
we're
fuck,
not
guys?
we're not doing a great job either. We lost to Toronto, we lost
yeah.
to Columbus, and we lost to New England, and we won't get a chance for revenge unless we see them in the Cup. So we're not holding up our end of the bargain. We beat Kansas City in the beginning of the year, and it's the only Eastern team we beat. But let's talk about
right.
Columbus. And Chris, how is it that Columbus managed to not win that game?
Oh, that's easy. You're throwing softball questions my way. It's because their defense went to the World Cup. If you watch that game, one of our stand-in defenders, Tyson Wall, who actually got a lot of starts last year on the wing, was partially responsible for all 3 of those Portland goals. We just did our backup defenders aren't as strong, and we also lose. We're going to lose Gonzalez this week also. So we're going to be down 3 of our 4 back line. We're going to be down Parkhurst, Gonzalez, and Waylon Francis. And honestly, I mean, we have decent depth, but we don't have the kind of depth that's going to be able to pretty much. You only have Josh Williams back there, and the rest of our back line is going to be. So we're playing Chicago, so I have a little bit of hope in my heart, but I would predict a loss again this week just because we're missing our defense.
Yikes.
So and also I'll give a lot of credit to Portland. Also, I think we got to see some more Porter ball there in terms of being able to come back when you're a man down, when you're a goal down. They showed kind of what we saw a lot throughout last year, where they're just not going to give up, and I don't know that Columbus was ready for that.
Yeah, they arguably looked as good as they have all year. I mean, I guess you could also say that the 4-4 game against Seattle, but it was kind of different circumstances. And
They've looked good in 4 games this year. That 4-4 game that you were just talking about, the game where they beat us, the game they lost 1-0 to RSL, and the game this last game. Every other time, and those games are all relatively recent. Those are 4 of their last 7 games, so they should turn it around. at some point.
Yeah, and again on the Columbus end, I think Bearhalter's system obviously puts a lot of pressure on that defense, and I think part of what was holding the team together, because we haven't, even when we weren't scoring, we weren't giving up a lot of goals, but that's because we have, Michael Parkhurst in the back just shutting things down, and I think a lot of Bearhalter's system is based around the fact that we did have strong center backs, which we're just not going to have until they're back from the World Cup at this point. And then I guess it was good on the positive side. It was great to see some goals. We had the longest goalless streak in the league going into the game. So to see 3 goals coming out of it, I'm not happy that we drew it, but I am happy to see some offensive production for sure.
For sure.
Both show, and also Higuain just showed us all why we love him so much once again.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we know we did it last year, but it was still a ridiculously classy goal. Man, it looked good.
And from such distance, it was.
And like you said, I mean, over Ricketts. It's not Raimondo,
I mean, Raimondo. I don't think Raimondo gives up that goal.
You think so? Just by positioning, or do you mean in the exact same position you think he's got the leaps to make it happen?
Well, Raimondo's not going to be in that position. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
He knows the league. He's smart enough not to let Higuain do shit like that.
Yeah, and I just love that Higuain, no matter what's happening, he's always watching for that. Anytime a keeper is out of position, he's going to make him pay for it, which is always a great thing to have on your team. How about we can talk about Seattle a little bit? Got to win over San Jose.
Yeah, I think that it was a generous scoreline to San Jose.
Yeah, what was with your screw you San Jose email that you sent this weekend? Because I was away all weekend, so I didn't get to see much of the game. So I assumed by that email that you guys lost, and then I was like, wait, but huh?
Oh. No. That was simply the fact that I was very drunk and celebrating at a bar after the win. And,
so it was like a nanner San Jose.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I'm going to stop sending emails to you guys if I know that we're just going to read any drunk things that I put out to you guys over the air here.
I'm going to go ahead and put my vote behind that. That was the private email, Ian. How dare you air my dirty laundry on this podcast? No, I have no.
Send me some life insurance documents, and there were some very revealing details in there.
No, I think that the scoreline was generous to San Jose, and it's because, for me, John Bush was man of the match. I mean, he, despite getting a ridiculous wonder goal scored against him early in the game, it did not demoralize him for more than 30 seconds, where he produced maybe my favorite soccer gif since the Landon sunglasses. Tell me you guys have seen John Bush's reaction face.
The face?
Oh God, it's glorious, and it's not because it's San Jose, and it's not because anything. It's just that's such an amazing moment to be captured.
John Bush's face is pretty hilarious.
But right after that, he just goes on to have an absolutely lights out night. He made some fantastic saves, and I know possession is not everything, but from both a statistical and from an eye test, the Sounders dominated the majority of that game without actually scoring, and it was a good game for us, but not a spectacular one. There was definitely some opportunities that were missed and some great saves by John. I don't know how much there is to talk about that game. We're kind of in the same spot where we're finding out how good the Sounders will be missing Yedlin, Dempsey, and Evans, at least for the short term. I think a lot of people are expecting that Yedlin at minimum, and maybe even Evans. I've been reading more and more with Timmy Chandler getting brought in that people are thinking Evans might not make it either. So we might be shorthanded for less time than expected. But I don't know. I don't think there was a lot to be gained from this game. Playing in Seattle is going to be a hard task every time. San Jose was absolutely depleted. I don't know if you guys know, but they traveled with 16. They didn't put out a full 18. They had 16 people on their team for that game.
When I do that on FIFA, it makes me forfeit So what the fuck?
You know,
Yeah, I'm sorry that MLS doesn't follow video game rules, but unfortunately that's the case. Um,
you can't win
but
them all unless you adjust the sliders. Then it's really easy to win them all.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of my take on that. I don't know if you guys saw anything I didn't see. It wasn't a super controversial game. I think my favorite statistic to come out of that game was with all of those main people from San Jose missing, we suffered the least fouls this year with only 4 fouls called against us playing against San Jose. That's just shocking to me. But
Wait,
you
so
know,
San Jose only committed 4 fouls, or you guys only committed 4 fouls?
San Jose only committed 4 fouls.
San Jose
That's
was so
insane.
worn out that they were only able to muster.
They were also missing all of their best foulers. You know, all of the guys that are known for being heavy hitters.
They're only missing Chris Wando and Clarence Goodson. Or were they also missing Lenhart, too?
Oh, they were missing Lenhart, Gordon, Bernardez.
That's right, Bernardes is gone, too. I forgot about him.
Bernardez is gone.
Something
Shea
like that.
Salinas was out on suspension. Yeah, it was definitely it was a short game for them.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up there for the matches. We are going to get over to an interview here with Jeff Ross. We'll get right to that.
Okay.
Pause there.
1 second.
We can figure this all out.
Hold on, everybody.
We are holding.
Yeah, what should I do? Headphones? I feel like everyone's doing headphones.
Headphones are probably best.
Probably best. Okay.
I'm going to
Yeah.
feel left out, though.
All right, hold on, America.
Chris is just a rebel.
Yeah.
I can do it again.
Yes. All right, let's see if that's any better. Can you guys still hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Golden.
Okay, cool. Hey guys, how are
What's
you?
up?
Not much.
Now what? How's
Great.
I haven't talked to you in a while. How have you been?
How have I been?
Yeah. Now, so how do you want to do like a straightforward interview, or what do you want to do here?
Hey man, I'm here for the ride. So whatever makes sense for you guys. If you want to do something straightforward, we can do that. If you have some kind of bit in mind, we can do that as well. Yeah, you let me know.
Well, Chris is our resident comedian, so the bit thing is on him. I'm pretty unfunny myself.
Okay. If you wanted to do like a fake interview, we could do that, or we could just talk like regular.
Let's just chat. We'll have a chit chat. We'll do
Okay.
that.
Let's go for it. Okay. So we're this whole thing just kind of records over to YouTube, and then we'll just cut this part out where we're chatting about chatting, and then
No. Let's leave that. People need to know.
the headphone bit was gold, by the way.
Oh, they love that bit.
All right. So yeah, let's jump into it. Jeff Ross, that's your name, right? Because that's what I just said.
Yeah, that is my name. It's not a stage name, believe it or not. That's the one they gave me when I showed up.
What? Okay, fine. I'm fine.
You're not going to argue that?
I don't have much leeway to, but it's whatever. All right.
So you said that you aren't given such a great name.
A little bit, but I'll get over it.
It comes down to the spelling. I know it was mentioned in the thread where Jeff posted his video, but as a non-person named Jeff, or that doesn't sound right, as a non-Jeff named person, I appreciate that spelling. It's different and fun and creative.
I think it's lucky that you had a different spelling than the other Jeff Ross comedian.
I would say so. I think I won that particular battle against him. It's been lifelong, but I play to win.
All right, good. We're going to start the real interview.
Oh, that wasn't it? Because I thought we were all set.
I'm definitely keeping that stuff in there.
Ow. I like the idea of keeping in the pieces of talking about what it is that we're going to keep in or not keep in.
That's good stuff.
Randomly throughout the other pieces also to make it make a little less sense.
Okay.
All right. We are here with, I think, the world famous Jeff Ross. Would you say world famous?
I have ambitions for worldwide fame, so I will take that.
So anybody, this is based on the MLS subreddit. We're explaining the podcast to Jeff as we do this interview here. um, where your video went up this past week.
A couple of people liked
Lending
it.
your talents to MLS for an upcoming job. What piqued your interest in that? Have you been a fan of the MLS going into this?
Oh yeah. This wasn't some random. I was on Career Builder and just decided to go and make a video. I've been a fan of the league for quite some time now, several years now, and I've been looking actually for an opportunity that would make sense, for me in the league. And I only know how to do like 2 or 3 things, so there's limits to that. What it is that I can and can't do. And then one day I noticed they had an opening. They had an opening for an on-air talent position. But they didn't have any place to like prove it, like to put a video or something, and something about that like ate at me because I felt I could write that I could do this, but no one would believe it. I don't have something that would show like, oh, this is the thing that he can do. So I decided like, oh, I'll just make a video and hope I can somehow get their attention.
So you've gotten a little bit of traction, amongst some MLS fans out there. Have you gotten any traction with MLS proper? Have you heard anything back yet?
Believe it or not, yes.
I do believe it.
I did. I got an email from them the same day that the video came out, and they said that like, oh, they thought it was funny, they thought they were entertained, and they're like, oh, we'd love to chat, which sounds fantastic to me. So I responded to their email. I also left them a voicemail, and I haven't heard back. It's been almost a week.
Do you think that it was a little too needy to leave both the voicemail and the email? Do you think they were hoping you were playing hard to get a little more?
I hope that wasn't the plan. But let's hope I didn't ruin it by having genuine interest in the job.
You got to treat this as much like a relationship as possible. I think you.
Yeah,
really
I mean, it's like, so many MLS fans are up in Cascadia where they're all a bunch of hipsters, and so, it's all about not seeming like you want it. Yeah, seeming like you don't care, but actually, yeah, exactly.
So I think the best course of action will be to release a second video just burning the MLS here. Just burn the whole thing to the ground.
Well,
that's what this interview's for, actually.
This is what this interview's for? This is going to be my whole...
We're really trying to prod you into it.
Oh, my goodness. There is a tentative plan for a sequel video. We will see if I can pull this thing off, but it's fairly ambitious, so we'll see if it all comes to fruition.
I wonder if the credit for you getting an email the same day goes to friend of the show, armchair analyst Matt Doyle. I know he made comments on your thread that he was going to send it to the right people. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the subreddit itself. I know you're a fan of the league, but Matt's a pretty big name and is actually employed by the league, so I'd be willing to bet that he made the comment that he sent it to the right people, so maybe we need to pull a couple strings and get him to get that second look on that video, huh?
We've talked to him at least once.
At least once.
At least one time. No, I did see that on the thread that he had reached out, which is great. That's fantastic that anybody would have reached out. It was greatly appreciated. They got back to me within 2 hours of the video being uploaded. So I'd have to double check of when Matt made that comment, but they may have gotten back to me before he even mentioned that. I'm not sure.
Wow.
I don't know. They got back very quickly, which I have a lot of questions about how.
Well, I think you have a good plan of attack. You hit them with the Reddit video. Next, you're going to come on our podcast, so you're going to get the /MLS bump, which is tens of listeners at least. So
bare minimum 10.
Sometimes
I feel like you even get an extra upvote or two just because I'm on the podcast.
That's something, right?
So what would be when you're looking for a job, being I guess a personality with MLS, what's your dream role there? What would you envision if you were to just able to make up your position? What would you look to do there?
If I could make it up, oh my goodness! Well, I should always be put in charge of everything. Yeah. If I were to make it up, I would actually.
So you'd be the commissioner? You take down the
you don't want me running the league at all. I could make. Terrible decisions.
Hey, would you at least make allocation money transparent?
I would make those rules very clear. It would at least be understandable what the rules are.
Watch out, Don
There's always
Garber.
been. Well, we don't need to get into it. Maybe I shouldn't hyper
Well,
criticize.
we
No,
will
no, this this
exercise
this is
bad
this
mouth
this
belief,
this is
too.
a no holds barred, everybody swears podcast.
Everybody, just 100%.
Everybody.
Multiple swearing.
We earn that explicit tag week after week.
We started this about 1 week ago, by the way.
Good
So
work.
the dream MLS job, lay it on us.
Well, what it would be very similar to what they do on Kick TV. I could see myself putting together a lot of humorous like segments and a lot of promo material for big matches, like matches of the week. I know they've been doing streams of the week lately, and I was reading about their upcoming TV deal, which is fantastic that they have a new TV deal. But it seems that there's going to be more of a focus on like, this is the match of the week. Like this is really the one to watch. And I feel like I could bring something very interesting to promoting those types of things. Also, I want to be that person, and I don't feel that they have this right now, who is like the voice of the fan, who is the person who is in the stands, who's the person who pays $9 for beer at these events. I could be at least the representation of that person. That's what I would do if I was the one to structure it. Now, is that what they want from the job? I have no idea because they haven't returned my email.
Please return my call.
That's all.
It's funny that you say that. Kick TV is exactly the role that I pictured you in, after seeing that video. Did you edit that yourself as well? Was the whole video package you? Did you have help on that? How did that work?
Yeah, so the video was, written by me, edited by me, shot by me, and that's why it looks terrible. So I did all of those pieces. The thing that I had help with was my friend Pat Cartelli, is the person who did the graphic design for that poster you see at the end, which is like me as a kid playing soccer, and it has the why nots, like all of that was him. And he did a phenomenal job because I'm terrible at graphic design. I definitely needed assistance with that. But when it came to the video work itself, that was all me.
That's great. It was pretty. I mean, it looks clear. I mean, looking at you right now, it looks pretty clear.
This is the part of the podcast where we get weird. I was snooping around the back of your room there, and
There's nothing better than an audio podcast talking about the visual elements. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah, that's what people tune in to hear.
Have you guys look at this though?
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
I know. Is it safe to assume? Are you a New York Red Bull fan? Where's your affiliation lie there right now?
Let's go ahead and alienate as many
people as humanly possible. Oh wow! I actually.
What's your favorite team, and why is it Manchester United?
It's not Manchester United, which is going to offend all the people who are Manchester United fans.
Why do you hate the north of England?
It's a long and storied history between me and North of England. I can't get into it right now. Mostly that I've never been there. That's the big issue that I have with them. I am actually, and it makes no sense, I'm actually an LA Galaxy fan, even though I'm not from Los Angeles.
Oh, like a fair weather bandwagon type thing?
No, because it was the first game I went to. The first MLS game I went to was an LA Galaxy home game. Versus the Seattle Sounders. The Sounders were destroyed in that game. It was 4-0. 4-0. The Sounders. This was back when like Freddie Lundberg played for the Sounders, so it's been a couple of years. But I had so much fun at that game. I'm like, oh, this is the thing. This is the thing I'm going to be into. So that's why that became my team moving forward. Even though I lived in New York at the time, but I was in Los Angeles at that particular moment when that happened.
Now, do you think they'll be able to trick you into being an NYCFC fan, or are you going to stick it out with the Galaxy? You got some options?
Trick me. They could trick me. It is possible to be tricked. I will give NYCFC this credit. In New York, right now, for like advertisements, stuff that's in subways and posters and stuff like that. You will almost never see a New York Red Bulls ad like anywhere, but NYCFC ads are everywhere. They're in the subways. They're on phone booths, which no one even uses. Like they're everywhere. And I at least give them credit to they're trying to earn the city. And I feel like the New York Red Bulls, for whatever reason, and I'm sure they have plenty of reasons, mostly because it would cost a fortune, but they're not making nearly as an aggressive push for the city itself.
Look, Red Bull can drop a man off the freaking moon onto Earth. How can
It's
they
true.
not? They can't
That's what
advertise.
happened.
They can't advertise a soccer team in New York City.
They got different priorities over there in Austria, like not everything's at the top of the list. I will say this though, Red Bull Arena as a facility, beautiful. It's a phenomenal. If you haven't been, find an excuse to go. It's a phenomenal stadium. My criticism, the same as you've probably heard 100,000 times. If you live in the city itself, it's pretty difficult to get there. Like I live in Brooklyn, and to get to Red Bull Arena, I have to take 2, 3, sometimes 4 different trains to make it to New Jersey. We're talking about a commitment of like hour and a half. 2 different train systems. You're going on obviously the subway here in New York, and then you have to go on the PATH train in New Jersey. Not that anyone really cares all this much about it, but the station that's by Red Bull Arena is totally undersized, and it's going to be renovated, but that's still like 2 years away. So it's kind of this whole transportation nightmare just to get there and to get back. And even though on paper it's like, it's not that much time, you sort of internalize that, like, do I really want to do all of this to see them play Chivas? Like, do I really want to do that? And people will say
Come
no.
back afterwards. That's probably half of the battle too. You're like, once I watch the match, then I have to do it all over again with nothing at the end of it.
Exactly. You have to do it all the way back, and it's a big commitment. It's a big commitment. I've gone, obviously, and I'll go again, and I may even be at the match this weekend against the Timbers. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to try to go. It's part of this sequel video. I'm trying to do something. But it's going to be a commitment because not that, again, I don't know how many of you guys are super familiar with the complexities of public transportation in New York, but the train that would run to Red Bull Arena doesn't run on the weekends for the entirety of 2014. So it's like it's a pain to get out there.
Wow.
If you live in New York. If you live in New Jersey, it might be easier to get there.
Yeah. I've been in New York City. I really love New York
If
City.
MLS were to give you a job this week, you would probably still be hard pressed to get out there. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh,
You're,
if they gave me
you got a
this
job, you set out to
I'd
do
be
it.
there.
You're like,
Not
no,
even
I'll
a
think
single
about it.
And if the
Hey,
New York
you're-
Red Bulls want to hire me, no complaints, none, 0.
And you're right in the right area for MLS too. They're like, maybe that's they're not like gonna email you back. They're just gonna come like knock on your door and be like, yo, what up? And then leave.
It's whatever.
Hey, that's not a problem. They can knock on my door. Not right now. It's 11:30 in the evening, but at a more reasonable hour, they can knock on my door.
You are part of one of the latest episodes of this we've ever recorded. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure to be a part of such a historic moment.
It's I'd put it up there with the moon landing at least. The Red Bull one.
I mean, we are definitely like top 10 most influential podcasts in the country, I would think.
Yeah, right up there with the BS report and that one that has Anderson Cooper in it.
We also mostly brought you on just to agree with us talking a big game about ourselves. So if
Yeah.
you could just
Hey, I'm a team player. I
lend
want you to
credibility here.
I'm on board.
So, Jeff, I've got an important question for you. You posted all this stuff under accounts that were clearly created for this purpose. So you don't necessarily have to give it out, but are you hanging out in /MLS under a different username most of the time?
I am not, and I wish I was that clever. I really do. I wish I was lurking under a different name or had some other scheme that I was working. But no, I don't have another username for slash MLS. I should have. That was a better plan. I should have done that. We should have spoken before.
You're welcome.
What happened? I'm going to do that now.
Well, I mean, this episode is going to take a couple days for this episode to come out, so you still have time, you know.
That's true. That's true. I can make some false identities. I've already created weird email addresses. I don't see why I can't go further.
Now, I remember I was looking through some of your other videos there on YouTube, and this seems to be a little more successful than your bid to become a manager in the Premier League.
This is slightly more successful.
I'm feeling a little more goodwill your way on this one.
No, I appreciate that. This one also is a little more realistic of a goal.
Yes.
So, I mean, no, I'm not gonna. That's low hanging fruit. Just kidding.
Come on.
No, go for it.
Come on, dude.
I was just gonna say, they're saying you wouldn't be a better manager than David Moyes.
I mean, I can be just as disappointing, is my thought. But I would be like
While
half
making
the price.
millions of dollars to do it.
I'm willing to do it for half of whatever they paid him, and that, you're already saving so much money. It seemed like a no-brainer for me. I don't know why they never called. You know what? I'm going to live and learn about the whole thing. I'm not going to hold a grudge.
The big man is all I'm saying. Takes a big man.
So you became a Galaxy fan like right when they won all of their championships. How does it feel to root for a really good team?
Well, they didn't win then. They didn't really win for a couple seasons after that. Like, they were actually not so great. That was when David Beckham was going on loans out to Italy for some reason. Do you remember all that? And then he would get hurt.
Because he still wanted to play for England.
Yeah, he was still living that pipe dream for whatever reason. And they weren't doing so hot, you know, like they weren't getting along with each other and all that jazz. So I started with a team that was like a team in disarray, and then it turned around, which was nice, and then they won 2 MLS Cups, which was also very nice, and that felt good. And now they're back to being terrible, I guess. I don't know what's going on right now.
But don't they do this at the beginning of every year a little bit?
Yeah, they do, and it's frustrating. They start so many seasons so slow that it makes me wonder, like, are they not doing preseason right? Like, are people not training? Like, what is going on that they start every year looking slow, looking just dumb? They just look dumb, and I don't get why.
I think it might be part of Bruce's coaching strategy where he wants to have kind of a bad news bear situation going on every single year, and you need to go through that rough patch. And you get the montage to that.
That's funny. I almost had the opposite theory. I thought it was just too much swagger. Like, we don't even need to deal with the first third of the season. We'll just come roaring in after that, and everything will be fine. Don't worry about it.
I also think it might have something to do with the fact they're in Southern California. It's like, oh, let's go to the beach. You know, like they're just hanging out all the time.
Yeah, because the beginning of the season is right in the spring when it's like perfect outside. Let's not do anything. We just chill at the beach weather, and then it gets really hot. And then you're like, well, we might as well play soccer.
Exactly. It hasn't hit like 100 degrees in LA yet. That's going to take a little bit, and once that happens, they'll say, oh, I guess I have to do my job that they pay me millions of dollars to do. Well, how about you guys? What teams are you all collectively supporting?
I like your historical rival, DC United. If you
classic
didn't know,
team.
Yeah, if you didn't, I don't know how much of the history you're into, but we used to be enemies. We used to hate each other way back when.
And you have 4 MLS Cups to your name.
That's right. All of them before 2005.
That's true. But you still have 4. Bruce Arena, coach there. Like, it's good.
Yeah,
So despite the fact that Ian is our youngest member, he's also our longest MLS follower. He's been following the league since he was 6 years old, and so he's definitely got the historical facts and memories ready to go.
Literally from day one.
I have just in this moment decided to start saying that DC has won 4 MLS 1.0 cups. Uh, that's the decision I've just come to. Ian, I apologize, but it's going to stick.
That's harsh.
No, two of them were in 2.0 because we won them after you guys opened your stadium. That's when everybody
I don't know.
collectively decided we were in 2.0, maybe.
That was it. That's all it took. I'm a Crew fan, to answer some more of your question. We're going to do this very slowly and just let the story unravel as we go.
Excellent. Well, you have a new owner. There's hope over there in Columbus.
There is some hope.
New owner, new coach.
We get a striker soon, and and we feel good about the team. We think we feel good about Bearhalter's system there. We'll see what happens when we get a few more pieces in place, but things are looking good.
Yeah, it's looking like you're getting back to the glory days from the outside, Lucky Man.
Indeed. Well, thank you. That's very kind words.
I'm out here in Seattle, and I'm a Sounders supporter.
Excellent.
Yep. So I was
Open Cups.
got a couple of U.S. Open Cups. We went to 4 finals and won 3 of them, and had a draw on the 4th. So
No, you lost.
No, that historically goes down on the sheet as a draw. It's
Shut up. You lost.
we did lose.
Deal with it.
We lost, but it was a draw, so that's how we're gonna call it. And our 2 missing members tonight who are unable to attend, we've got Josh, who's actually out here in Seattle, but is a Portland supporter, so he has a fun one. And Dennis is up in Toronto, so we've got a TFC fan.
Oh, really?
I got some good diversity on the podcast.
Tapestry.
I was in the Pacific Northwest last fall. It was like last October, and I was able to actually see a Sounders game at CenturyLink Field. It was one of those games that the whole thing was open, so there were 60,000 plus there. It's something else. Like you guys you're doing something very, very interesting up there in Seattle. I didn't have a chance to see a Timbers game because obviously there wasn't one being played at that particular time. I was able to walk by their stadium. It looked nice. I didn't get to see them actually play there. But yeah, it's the CenturyLink Field full of soccer fans. It was pretty cool. So
it was great, and on top of it. Honestly, for me, like I guess maybe I'm a little bit jaded getting to see that that 65,000 a couple of times a year, but more important than that for me last year was the U.S. national game against Panama. That was incredible.
That must have been
seeing that same stadium filled with red, white, and blue it was pretty spectacular.
That must have been something else.
That boom clap in the 80th minute was so cool.
Oh God, it was great, wasn't it?
Does the whole stadium do that every time?
Not like that. We do it to bring the players on at the beginning of the game, and very rarely does it get done late like that. Like that would be like a dominating win over Portland at home or some. It's very rare to do.
Yeah, I noticed you guys only do it during like big wins. So
yeah, and honestly, that's my favorite part when we open the stadium is anything that involves the entire crowd because the ECS is strong. You've got a good 2,000 or 3,000 people that are in unison singing, chanting, but those 65,000 people stadium, when it's open all the way, anything that involves the whole crowd, like boom, boom, clap, or any of the echo chants, like hearing the response come back from so many people, because I sit with the ECS, it just gives you chills. Like it's crazy to hear that many people in unison just echoing around the bowl. It's pretty nuts.
All right.
Now that we've made this about me,
great.
That is that's our interview with Punk Rock Pete there. No.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go ahead and start wrapping it up. But Jeff, we're definitely looking forward to the second video. We hope that you are able to accomplish.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, but hopefully there'll be another one.
Seeing you on TV in the future. Maybe we'll see you.
Do you need to plug anything? Can we give you our bump here?
Oh, the infamous podcast bump.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I should have been better prepared. Well, if the theoretical second video exists, I need everybody to retweet and put it on Reddit and upvote and do everything, because I want MLS to be forced to respond in some fashion.
We're all on board, though.
So basically, you're saying if your next video doesn't get 20,000 upvotes, you're going to be disappointed in us.
You know, I'm just going to go ahead and say those weren't my words, but I'm not going to stop them from happening.
So plug us here. Give us your Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is that people can find you at.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Twitter is @JeffIsFamous. Everyone should follow me if they're not already doing so. I don't know why. It's good for your health. YouTube is just Respectability Films. Not only is that where those weird MLS videos are, that's where you'll see me put my sketch videos up there, my weird live comedy stuff. That's where all that stuff goes. So follow those two things. Make it happen, and then hopefully I can do a job that's just me making other people laugh instead of working in sales.
There it is, guys. Make it happen.
Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us. Go get some sleep, buddy.
Oh, God. Can you tell?
All right, we'll call
Thank
that.
you for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. If there's anything else that I can do for you, tell someone else, because I'm very busy, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
We'll when this episode goes live, we're gonna tweet from the podcast account and we'll mention it. So just give it a retweet, get it out there. We'll try to have as many people listen to it as possible.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, man.
See ya.
There he goes. All right. How do you guys like that?
That'll do.
It was fun. I feel like I'm not sure if it was microphone differences or what, but I feel like more than we do within our standard podcast, I feel like we were talking over each other a little bit. I'm not sure if there was a separate delay going on, but it was a little more congested than I feel like even when we've got 5 people on.
It was hard to hear him sometimes, and it was hard to hear Chris too sometimes. So
I'm wondering if it's a difference. Some of the mics don't pick up if somebody else is they don't always cut in as much. I'm not sure the technical aspect of that, but
I don't know. It's really helpful. Sometimes I look away, I look at the notes or I look at a basketball game that's happening while we're recording the podcast, and excuse me, and if I look away, I tend to interrupt people more than if I'm looking at you guys.
Yeah, I found myself interrupting him a couple times where I thought he was going to have a break in his speech, and he was better at talking than we are.
right.
And so he was able to keep on trucking through. So I did that a couple times.
Yeah, agreed. What are we, Ian? Are we at MLS Podcast?
At /MLS. I got it.
Oh, you got it? Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, should we jump back into it? How long are we going to do this with the idea that...
I think with just the 3 of us, and we only have a couple more things, I think we can fit it all into one episode and get Iron Goalie in. How long do you want
It's been an hour.
Don't stab yourself in the head.
If it's been an hour, but there's got to be at least a good 10 minutes of editing, right?
Fair.
No?
I'm
just guessing. I have no idea. I don't know how much are we actually going to remove and keep in,
Right now, all we have to talk about is stadium deals. I don't know what Las Vegas and MLS is, so someone will have to fill me in on that.
Did you put that in there, John?
Camilo, Jay, and then Iron Goalie.
I did, yeah.
So we'll let you cover that part. Camilo or Camilo? How do I say it, guys?
Carmelo.
Carmelo? Anthony?
Yep, yeah. Perfect.
Got it.
LaFonda.
Camilo?
I think if you mispronounce his name, Vancouver fans will be happier at you than if you pronounce it correctly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Who's talking about him?
I feel like you should just go for Camillo.
Cameo.
Cameo.
Camille. I knew
I
this.
call him Cam.
I had a slight. When I was in 6th grade, I had this slight crush on a girl named Camille.
Well then, we'll say Camille.
If
We'll,
anyone
pretend
knew.
we'll just talk about Camille.
I feel like we're already talking about him. Maybe we should just keep going with this.
So tell us about Camille.
Oh, apparently he is
Not
desperate.
getting paid.
Yeah, desperate to go back to a team that is financially solvent.
Got
Yeah.
it. Where's he?
Which,
Where's he at now?
he's in
He-
Mexico. He's at
He's in
Querétaro.
Mexico at Cuartero, or whatever that team is actually named. Cuartero?
Querétaro.
There you go. I don't follow Liga MX, obviously.
Story.
Listen, the point is, he's at a Mexican team who is not financially stable, haven't been paying their players, and he made an ill-advised jump to go to a team that couldn't pay him the promised money. So he's
Or any
been
money.
talking, or any money, yeah. So he's been talking a lot about coming back, and I think more interesting than the storyline of is Vancouver interested.
Are we doing the podcast right now?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a terrible intro to it. We cannot use that.
We can always go back and throw it in.
Yeah.
No, let's can we start like from the beginning and talk about it, because we were really being weird going into this story before you actually got into the meat of it. It was weird. It's gonna be the weirdest thing that's ever happened.
This is gonna be the best or worst podcast we've ever made.
I'm happy with it so far, except for what just happened that I'm going to make as we do.
All right, Chris is making an executive decision. Let's start it up.
I'm sorry. No, it was just like it was literally us talking about how to say his name, and that was the intro to it. That's not not great.
Ian likes to leave that stuff in.
It's not great. All right, and we also didn't like outro from the interview at all.
From Jeff, yeah.
Yeah. So let's outro. I think we can still get all this into one
Let's
section.
do it. Let's power through it.
And then we'll
Hey,
put some kind of like maybe 20-minute time limit on the Iron Goalie interview, and we should be good.
Yeah.
Because that one was about what, a half hour we did with him, and a half hour before
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's probably. I also don't know who else gonna be available tomorrow. We're going tomorrow
What time?
after the DC game.
I can try to come in and help some people. That helps.
That wasn't my that actually wasn't my decision. Iron Goalie's like, hey, should we do this after the DC game? I'm like, yeah, sure. Cause I want to see the DC game too.
And so what time is the DC game?
It's at 7, so it'll end at 9.
I can probably be here.
Wait,
Okay.
9 Eastern?
Yeah.
Or 9 Mountain? Or what the fuck are... Too many,
9 Eastern.
Too many times. 9 Eastern. So it's done at 9 Eastern.
9 according to the time on MLSsoccer.com.
So you're looking to go like 9:15, 9:30?
I'm looking to go at 9.
Fuck. I'm... ugh.
You might
I will do my best to
just
try
jump
to make
in.
that work. Yeah, I might just jump in.
Also, there will be about 10 minutes of Bobcats
Dude.
talk you'll be able to cut from that part of the podcast. All right.
Okay, here's what's gonna happen.
Lay it on us.
If we, since I have an awesome microphone now, if it's too long to put into one podcast, I'm gonna record separately a break and stuff,
Okay.
and then put it and edit it in there.
well, I think we should keep doing what we're doing right now.
Yes.
All right. Do we want to start with Camelo, or we want to start with stadium deals?
Let's just go down the list. Fuck it.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. We are back. We are coherent. No one knows what
Well-
that means except for us, but we're having a blast. Let's talk about. So we have some movement on a lot of stadium deals right now. We have movement in DC. We have movement in Miami. Do you guys think we're seeing a lot of positive progress? Ian, tell us a little bit about DC first of all, because
Here's the thing about the DC deal. It looks like they've accomplished exactly what they said they accomplished 10 months ago.
are they still looking at Buzzard Point for that?
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen at Buzzard Point or it's not gonna happen anywhere. So yeah, so 10 months ago they're like, yeah, we're gonna make this deal, we're gonna involve these people, we're gonna we've already got preliminary agreements involved. And then they made that announcement, and I posted in our MLS and got a lot of upvotes. That's not really important to the story. What is important to the story is that basically nothing has happened in the last 10 months except for, yeah, the deal's still on. The only thing that is important, though, is that Mr. Vincent Gray, the current mayor of D.C., he's leaving. He's not going to be the mayor of D.C. In 2015. So it's on him to get it done, because if he doesn't get it done, the next mayor is going to fuck it up, and then we won't ever have a stadium. So
Are we hearing any opposition to the stadium from potential mayoral candidates, or do we
yeah,
not?
we are. Yes, the one who's projected to win doesn't like it at all. Mostly because she's just trying to ride public opinion, because the national stadium deal was pretty shitty. Except the thing here is that DC is capping their financial involvement at $150 million on infrastructure improvements that would improve the area anyway.
Doesn't this help the Nationals ballpark a little bit in its own way? Keep
It
them on.
helps, but that's not the important thing. What is important is that basically it can be spun as, hey, we're paying for another stadium, and it's not going to do us any financial good, but it actually, and the fear from the public that can be stirred, which would be irrational, but you don't need rational fear to win elections.
We're getting
Is
political, guys. Brace yourself.
is the National Stadium blew out of proportion. The DC United Stadium could do the same, even though the agreement is already in place that DC is going to contribute all about $150 million, and the $150 million coming from the city is all infrastructure and none of the stadium, and even not all of the infrastructure. So that is what's going on in DC.
Is there anything we as fans can do to help push it through? Sorry for the weird generic question and then laughing at it. Is there anything that
It's really hard to it's really hard to book airspace on top of DC. They really frown upon that.
Okay, so we can't fly the helicopter, is that what you're telling me?
Right, we can't fly the airplane.
Well, we'll see what happens. I have an airplane. You have a banner. Pete, if you want to run interference with the FBI, we'll get this thing done.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
Right.
Miami.
Let's talk Miami.
Miami looks like, at the moment, and of course this is all liquid as it has been for a while, looks like the Port of Miami is not going to work out. They've been facing some major pushback from the cruise lines and taxpayer groups and so forth. And so now they are talking that there's a new place that is a boat slip, I think. I'm not sure exactly. I probably should be more prepared for this segment.
Which is the
boat
place
slip is correct. They're going to fill in the boat slip.
Yeah, fill in the boat slip and build a new stadium. What were you saying, Ian?
Which is the place that is next to right where the Miami Heat play?
That would be the boat slip.
Right.
Okay. They should play there.
It seems like they might. They've had some quick movement this week. So it's still in Miami proper, which is good. And I mean that's it. That's really the only thing we have to talk about. That is that things have quickly changed. I mean, it's only been a month or two since the Port of Miami was all the rage, and now the boat slip seems to be where it's happening.
It seems like they're fighting between two really solid locations, as opposed to when you're looking at your NYCFC kind of stadium plans. There's a lot of bad ideas floating out there. So it feels like if you compare the two situations, Miami's in a great place right now.
Absolutely, and if you look at somewhere like you brought up NYCFC, who's going to start next year and is still dubious on their stadium plans. Orlando, while they have a pretty clear idea of where they want it, they're still fighting the battle with the church and the eminent domain issue. So
yeah,
you're right.
The church wants $35 million for a piece of land that is worth $750,000. Or the city of Orlando offered them like $4 million, and the church was like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, no, they're greedy idiots. I get it, but I mean, So as Chris pointed out, I mean, yeah, Miami might arguably be in a better position just to be, having a choice between two great sites. So, yeah, things seem to be going smoothly there. I would expect a full-fledged Miami announcement by the end of the year. Would not shock me if it coincided with the playoffs.
The really disappointing thing is, I mean, I think we need to stop talking trash on that church because they've already boycotted our show. I know for a fact not one of their congregation members listened last week. And,
Yikes!
I think we're just furthering the divide.
Are you saying that we're losing listeners due to our firm stance against them?
I wouldn't go that far, but we're definitely not gaining them. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. And if you're neutral on a moving train, then you're going backwards.
That's right. Now,
all right.
What?
Sorry. Let's talk trains. Welcome to /r/traincast.
r/choo-choo.
All right. Today's episode, cabooses.
What is happening right now?
It's getting late. That's what's happening.
Pete had a very important question for everybody. Pete, can you answer the question? Las Vegas and MLS?
Question mark? I know. I feel like that's like the Valley
Wait,
girl who says
Chris
everything
already
in
did
a
the question mark.
Yes.
All right. So
you guys doubled the question marks.
Yeah, that's how we do.
yeah, Las Vegas.
Get on this train. Cast.
So here's the deal with Las Vegas in MLS. There's just some rumors that have been flying around. Like, it kind of came out of left field. There's been all this talk about, who's going to be number 24. Is it going to be Minnesota? Is it going to be San Antonio? Is it going to be Sacramento? The teams, I guess St. Louis maybe, but they had their – never mind. And
no, St. Louis is on that list. St. Louis is on that list for damn sure.
Yeah, but didn't they just get a lower league pro team? So they're not
Yeah.
That's not going to –
next year.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
The 24 team 24. How Orlando City was ready. They became ready in 2 years.
Yeah, but they took an existing team and moved them.
So?
Well,
it's not like they took an existing fan base and moved them.
Correct. None of these teams are Las Vegas. So let's talk about Las Vegas. Okay. Somehow Las Vegas just kind of came breezing in the door last week and started talking a big talk about getting a team there. I'm going to go ahead and misquote this information, so feel free to tell me I'm wrong on our Twitter feed.
I'm gonna take out the part where you said misquote, so you sound even more silly.
Awesome. I'm gonna keep mentioning it for the next 10 minutes so that it just you can't do it. Like, hey, remember that time when I said I was being misquoted? So I think it was the mayor of Las Vegas. I'm gonna go with that. Let's call him the president of Las Vegas. He said that it's gonna happen. Like, he came out pretty definitively and said that things were in advanced negotiations and that they were looking to build a stadium, and it just kind of seemed to happen really fast. But then articles that supported it came out pretty quickly, and so it seems like overnight they suddenly built steam on something. I don't know how realistic it is. Obviously there's a lot of concerns about weather and about professional gambling, and there's a lot of things that you could argue against suddenly making Las Vegas number 24, but could it be number 25 through 28? Perhaps.
Yeah.
I think we've seen a lot of success with previous Las Vegas franchises. For instance, the Las Vegas Outlaws, sure, they finished at the bottom of the XFL, but they had a lot of heart.
And to be fair, they didn't have a lot of time in the XFL to prove something and come back.
Yeah, small sample size.
That's right.
All I'm saying is that they had star player He Hate Me on the field, and they knew how to make it work.
He played in the Super Bowl, by the way. He Hate Me did.
The Super XFL Bowl?
No, he played in a Super Bowl.
Wow. What do we call the XFL championship?
It was the $1 Million Game.
The $1 Million Game presented by
Yes.
Doritos?
I think that's exactly correct.
So that's Las Vegas, guys. That's all I have to say about it. I'm clearly ill-informed, but I'm trying to bring that misinformation to the masses. So
They-
Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you about St. Louis? Do you have time to talk about St. Louis?
Well, before we move off Las Vegas, I will make one more point for Las Vegas.
Yeah.
UNLV has some very good fan bases going for them. They have some of the best student sections in the country. So in terms of building a fan base in Las Vegas, I think you have potential there.
now, when you say UNLV and their fan base, are you talking their gridiron football team?
Their basketball team is more known for
Yeah.
So their indoor winter schedule sport is doing very well.
yes.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that we're clear on the
I can
differences.
tell there's no mocking tone in your voice at all right now. And it's very straightforward. Yeah, they're
Hey,
doing
you
great.
know, I will say a lot of soccer people really like basketball.
That's fantastic. My main argument is that I have regularly made trips to Las Vegas in July for a couple of years, and it's maybe the worst place on the planet during that time.
Don't they have air conditioning?
Stop going. You
Chris,
keep coming back for more. Why won't they?
how am I going to get further into debt on horses if I don't keep going?
Why don't you subscribe to our sister podcast /horses? You do better.
I don't think it's Slash Horses. I feel like Slash Horses is a very different podcast.
Pony betting on the horses.
Las Vegas is hot, guys. That's what I'm saying.
Got it.
Cool. Let's move on.
Bring it home.
Are there more topics? Oh, Breck Shea.
Wait.
We got to talk Camille too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that guy.
Camille.
Camille.
Shamil.
All right. Pete, hit it.
Yeah.
Come on, Camilo.
All right. Some more misinformation from Pete. This guy used to play for the Whitecaps, and
That's not misinformation.
not yet. It isn't. You
Give him a
wait.
second.
That's right. Hold on to your hattie, and it's coming. So he made statements in the Vancouver press and national Canadian press about how he was so happy to be in Canada and he was going to stick around and try to earn citizenship, and everybody was super excited, including Dennis, about him playing on the national team for Canada, and maybe they would win a game or two. And then he just shat on all of that and went to Mexico for, supposed millions of dollars. Ian, what was the name of that team he went to?
Querétaro.
Goddamn right it was. And so he went down there, and they have had serious financial instability. Here's the misinformation. I think they were bought by the league. That might not be right, but in any case, they're not paying their players.
Wait, they were bought by MLS?
No, they were not. No, I think
Are we buying teams in Mexico now? Or
we
are
fucking
they just...
should. Let's just annex them. Let's go ahead and start another Mexican American war. We're gonna annex some teams.
I know, we haven't had one in like 160 years.
Yeah. Well, this is where we're gonna start. So they're not paying their players. They're financially insolvent, and so there's the storyline of him coming out in the press and making comments about wanting to go back to Vancouver, which I'll admit is a little bit interesting because the fans have basically sworn off him and cursed his name since he left. So I do think that's an interesting storyline. But a lot more interesting is the lack of transparency in MLS and how his return would be affected. So there's the argument.
So it's the terms here. What I've heard is that it's the terms of the transfer, and that since Vancouver transferred him to Querétaro, but Querétaro can't pay the transfer fee, they're going to miss payments. The transfer itself can be voided, and his contract reverts back to Vancouver.
But
Right,
can they afford him?
What?
Can they afford him?
Right,
Vancouver?
that's the other issue, right? So they've got new DPs, and not only can they afford them, do they want to? So the rights would go back to them. They could potentially
Toronto has Julio Cesar and Michael Bradley and Jermaine Defoe and Gilberto all playing on the same team. I think Vancouver can afford.
But Toronto.
But that's
made
a loan, though, right?
Toronto made that happen with a lot of financial wrangling. I don't know if the Whitecaps are set up for that right now because they picked up, you know, they
Mm. They just released Kenny Miller.
everything.
They did release Kenny Miller. That's a good point. But further speculation, Ian. I mean, so we don't know for a fact whether they made payments. If they didn't make payments, you know, what the process of voiding those terms are. I mean, that certainly seems to be the most logical to me. But again, the lack of transparency.
I think that's why Camilo is talking up Vancouver now, is because he knows about that. He knows that he's going to end up back in Vancouver anyway, just by default. And so he's like, well, maybe I should make amends and say nice things about Vancouver now.
But is it a little more complex than that? Let me give you this scenario. So let's say that they can void, you know, those terms. Do they just own those rights, or do they have to pay him the contract he was on? Because if that's the case, maybe that's why he's talking up Vancouver. Because if I'm Vancouver and I don't have to pay him what we were paying him before, maybe I'm interested. If I have to pay him a ton of money, maybe I sell him to Chivas, you know?
So the way I understand this, from having played Football Manager, is that
experts coming in right now, guys.
Better than FIFA is all I'm saying in terms of when we're basing our info on video games, but it's still not. Go ahead.
Is that when you buy a player or you sell a player, then when you buy a player, you negotiate the contract rights for them. It's not like trading in the NBA where you're trading for a contract. The old contract is pretty much torn up, and you're buying the rights to you know, negotiate with him.
Does he enter into a free agency of sorts at that point? If that's the case, if the deal doesn't go through,
if he doesn't like it, then the transfer is void, and he goes back to the team he was with in the first place.
So would he revert to his old contract?
To his old contract in MLS, or his contract in Querétaro?
MLS. If his current contract becomes void, does he revert to his previous contract in MLS? You are a MLS contract lawyer, right?
Yes, I am. I'm next in line to become commissioner. Actually, that's how that happened. No,
well, I think our friend Jeff Ross might have something to say.
Oh, you're right. I'm third in line. That's right. I gotta pull some Game of Thrones shit to get onto the.
So I think what I was trying to say earlier, when I accidentally just tumbled off into an old mumble fit, is that Toronto has their players via a lot of allocation money magic that I don't know that the Whitecaps have that same allocation money at their fingertips that Toronto did to make their 4.5 DPs possible.
Well, they don't have to pay Kenny Miller anymore. That helps.
Yeah, but so who are their DPs now then?
They have Matthias Lava is
right.
one.
You've got
who's technically on loan, right?
Who's technically on loan? No shit. We talked about this like the second or third episode, and Dennis knew. But
well, because he's an intra-league loan, right? But was it more of a loan to purchase? I don't remember how that conversation went.
I don't remember either. It's whatever he is. I think I really do feel like he was sold.
Oh, we thought it was going to be a loan, but then it turned out to be a sell. Wasn't that what it was? Like we expected it to be a loan, and then the terms ended up being a sell instead.
Yeah, perhaps.
I don't know. They also have Pedro Morales.
Yeah, is he a DP?
He is a DP.
Okay, what about that Fernandez guy?
Fernandez guy.
It's like Christian Fernandez.
I don't rightly know.
Okay. Well. Cool. It's a good thing we run an informed podcast.
Wow. Chris, I'm glad you're back. You can tell us if the Whitecaps player Christian Fernandez is a DP or not.
Christian Fernandez, isn't he a young DP?
That sounds right. Let's go with that.
Sure. Those count, right?
More information than Ian and I came up with in 30 seconds of silence.
So the young DP, I think he's a young DP, but I can't tell you for sure. If he is, they do count as a DP, but they hit the salary cap less.
Right,
Okay.
right. But still a DP slot.
Correct. It does still take up a DP slot, but it's just less cap hit. Is all.
But you can use allocation money to pay that down to not a DP slot, and
Good
then
call.
open up. At
So
least
the allocation money that they don't have, according to Chris, is what we're going to use.
I made
Man,
up
who-
that Whitecaps didn't have allocation money. So in this fantasy world we've created,
To be fair, MLS makes up who has how much allocation money, pretty much, right? I mean, that's the
Absolutely.
assumption.
they
Yeah.
distribute allocation money to all the teams based on specific factors, and it exists for a reason. And then they trade it around amongst themselves. But the thing is, we the fans never know how much they've traded. So we'll always.
Which sucks fucking ass, because I want a goddamn MLS trade machine.
So we'll
Seriously.
Yeah,
Well,
so the player's rights were traded for allocation money, but we don't know if it was $2,000 or $2 million.
I feel like everyone knows less about the Whitecaps for having listened to this, so it might be time for us to move on.
All right, we got one last topic before we make our bold predictions. Let's talk some Breck Shea.
We'll have
Breck
2 more
Shea.
topics.
2 more. I only see one.
Well, we also have another interview.
We have one
Well-
more topic and one more interview before we move on to our bold predictions. Let's talk Breck Shea.
Breck Shea.
I like him.
Magical unicorn of a man.
Yeah.
So the rumors started with Toronto, which I thought was interesting, and have moved back to Dallas. So
Well, only because he's training in Dallas.
right,
'Cause
but he's also
'cause I
from
think
there,
Yeah, exactly. So that doesn't mean shit.
right? But yeah, I mean, to Chris's earlier point, does Toronto have the money to pay Breck Shea? I mean, where's that going to go?
I don't think so, unless they're paying Breck Shea for the way in which he has played instead of the way in which he was promised to play.
That is a fair point.
Well, when he comes back, does he become a DP? He has to, right? If he's picking who he's going to, otherwise he has to go to the allocation order, unless.
Well, I mean, he might
MLS
go to the
doesn't help out
allocation
with the
order.
transfer.
Unless
It gets
does
fun.
Dallas still own his rights? Did they get a transfer fee when he left or not? We don't know the history of every transaction in the league, right?
Yeah,
Shit.
totally.
No,
Was
they
he sold?
did. They did. They
He
sold
was
him.
sold to Stoke, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if they sold him, then he would be a free agent, and he would either have to go through the allocation process or the MLS would have to make up some rules for him.
Well, so the current rules that have been made up would be a key national team player, which I would argue he's not.
I don't think you could argue Breck Shea as a key national team player.
Yeah. So
Yes, you
then
can.
we would look
Billy did
at
it with Moedu. But they didn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
they weren't right, but they argued that.
Oh, sorry. You could argue it, yes.
but I mean, maybe
You could win that.
Moedu wasn't in favor at the moment, but he certainly had a lot more caps than Breck Shea, right?
And he had to go through allocation anyway.
Right. So that's the thing is Breck Shea going to get paid DP money? I don't know that he will. And if he doesn't, then he's going to be subject to allocation.
Dallas, unless 2 things, and I think one of those things was fulfilled. He was sold by Dallas to Stoke for a couple million. Like, he was sold. He didn't go to Stoke in between contracts like Hercules Gomez did.
Right,
Which
so that
is why
means
he-
that Dallas loses the right to hold him when he comes back.
Right. So if Andy Nahara ever comes back to MLS, we don't get first dibs on him. I know that
Correct.
for a fact. And that's the reason why. Because it applies to homegrown players too.
Yeah.
Right.
But that means they would normally go through the allocation process at that point.
So unless
Only-
unless Breck Shea becomes a DP or makes the argument that he's a national team player, then he's going to go through allocation. Or we're going to make up new rules. Either way.
No, I don't think he goes through allocation. I think he can. Since he was sold, I don't think. That's what I'm saying. Since he was sold by Dallas, he doesn't have to go through allocation.
Now, because he was sold, he definitely has
Yeah,
to go through
we don't
allocation.
have free agents in this league. No.
No. Okay, I promise.
Oh, I promise.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Chris on this
A
one.
double
No,
pop.
because Hercules Gomez, Kansas City, has the rights to Hercules Gomez. And they're not giving up because Hercules Gomez, after his contract was over with Kansas City had first rights to negotiate his next contract.
Correct.
But he didn't sign a contract with them. He signed a contract with Mexico. So Kansas City still has Hercules Gomez's rights.
But that's
Correct.
because
That
they didn't
means
get
he
paid
will
for that.
not go through allocation because they already have the rights.
Right.
There
That's
is
why he
no
doesn't go through
allocation.
allocation.
Gomez comes
Dallas sold the right to get Breck Shea, so he goes through
So now
allocation.
he does. Okay, I now understand. Okay.
Unless they Dempsey him, which they haven't even done that with all national team players. It's just been the biggest names that come to the league. If it's
Well, no, because Moedu went through the allocation order because Philadelphia did the whole transfer by themselves, and there wasn't MLS help.
I know any returning national player that's not signing a DP contract definitely goes through allocation. I know that for
Yes.
I promise that I know that.
And so again, let's go ahead and start that one more time. He will go through allocation if he's not a DP.
That having been said,
So who's in the allocation order? Prepared, guys?
Columbus is number 1.
Oh, well.
Did you know that? Did you know that, Chris?
I did not know that. I knew we were near the top at this point.
Yeah, you're at the top.
That would also be near the top. I feel like that qualifies.
Very close to the top.
So when those national teamers start coming home after they win the World Cup, you get first dibs on the first one that wants to come home.
I don't think the Breck Shea is the one we want.
Too bad.
No, that's perfect. Just because they're in the allocation order doesn't mean they have to sign them. It means that they then,
we can trade that pick. We
Absolutely.
can trade Breck Shea. We have the power to trade one Breck Shea to another team.
And so maybe that's where the Toronto and Dallas rumors come in. Maybe Columbus is already on the trading block, knowing that they're not going to want to pay him, knowing that he's not going to fit into their system as it sits right now,
and we can trade him for Defoe.
And they're and they're just talking to the teams that have showed the most interest.
Can we talk about how we just had a discussion about the MLS rules that we actually came to like a resolution about?
I don't think we should talk about it because if we include that entire argument on this podcast, it's going to get weird.
Like it wasn't already.
Also, it means that we could be wrong. Just because we came to a resolution doesn't mean that we got there the right way.
We're all agreed.
There's only been one time when someone's pointed out that we're wrong, ever, in the history of /MLS.
Except for those times that we pointed out that we were ourselves wrong.
Right.
That happened.
Right. That one time was Aaron corrected you, Pete, I think, about some guy. It was either you or Josh, about some guy who played for both Portland and Seattle, or something.
Oh, I wonder.
To open our next podcast with fake corrections about things we got wrong, but we didn't really get them wrong.
I like that.
Guys, in the last episode, we said that Jamaica was part of the United States. That was not correct.
Anything else, guys? That's a pretty.
While we're talking Breck Shea, and we can just edit this in over top of whatever part of the conversation we had before. While we're talking about Breck Shea, there's also a very real possibility he just plays somewhere else in Europe. It feels like that's his speed. It feels like that's the lifestyle he wants.
Yeah, there's been some good arguments that he could fit in well in in the Netherlands or somewhere like that.
I even see Breck Shea picking, a lower division, lower league team over coming back to MLS. Just to stay in Europe.
Yeah.
Just because that's the kind of guy he is, you're saying?
He seems like the kind of guy that is going to enjoy his time in Europe, if that makes sense. He seems like the kind of guy who is over there both for the experience and for the European lifestyle.
Hey guys,
what's up?
Go ahead, please.
I wasn't gonna say anything meaningful.
Oh, I'm gonna completely interrupt our conversation with some late breaking news to keep this podcast relevant.
All right.
As of a few hours ago, it looks like the disciplinary committee has issued a couple of reports, and they are going to suspend DC United forward Eddie Johnson one game and fine him for
Yeah!
an undisclosed amount for his reckless challenge Saturday against Troy Perkins.
Woo!
Ian, why are you excited about that? What's
Because
going on in that
earlier
head?
this year, Clint Dempsey went on a 2-game suspension and then proceeded to score 30 goals the next 4 games. So
That's a
You
statistical
are
fact.
not-
Hashtag true facts.
yes,
Also, the committee suspended Portland Timbers' Alvis Powell for an additional game since he earned the first on the red card for play that endangered the safety of Chad Barson, who I literally have never heard of. I'm not sure if that makes me a bad league fan, but that's not a name I'm comfortable with.
we're gonna kick you off slashMLS next week. Sorry. We're not even having an episode next week.
Oh, and specifically relevant to Chris. Chris, not only did that challenge have an additional game added, but the committee also determined that the crew violated the mass confrontation policy following the equalizer.
What?
And
No
Greg
way.
Greg Berhalter will receive fines, as it is their second infraction this year.
That's fair. That's fair.
Late breaking news. That's what we do here on slashMLS.
We're breaking it now, and you will hear it in a couple of days.
You know what else I found on? Someone said, a legitimate magazine that has a lot of Twitter followers said, fears of a 0 points, 0 goals World Cup are very real. This is one of the weakest USA squads for some time.
And I'm sorry, who said
They're
that?
just trying to get clicks. They're
It's
just trying to make
It's
people
at
mad.
442.
Wow, 442 is not a unrespected magazine.
They're
They
trying to get clicks.
No, that's
No,
clickbait for sure. That's
No,
They have
clickbait.
about 10. They have about 1,000 times more Twitter followers than we do.
They're
What?
also
That's
awfully
crazy.
they're also awfully Eurocentric. So
Oh, are they just shitting? Are they just shitting on? I bet what they're doing is they're noticing the fact that we have more MLS players than we have had since 1998, and they're like, "Uh-oh, they're gonna suck."
No, what they're doing is they're talking trash so that people go to their website to argue with them, and then they get a bunch of money from ads. That's what they're
Yep.
doing.
that's dead on.
I don't. Is that how the internet? I don't understand why people would do that. That's so mean.
Speaking of that Alvis Powell challenge, did anybody see that?
I did.
Flipped, but I've never. It's rare that I have such a guttural reaction to a challenge.
Whoa.
Like, he went in hard.
And not only
Yeah.
did he go in hard, but the rotation was like a solid 6 inches from a broken neck.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
just
it
a very slight less rotation of that body, and he's coming straight down on his neck and head. It was not great. Guys, it's been 2 hours since I logged on. I'm gonna have to shut it down pretty quick here.
Let's give us a quick bold prediction.
Wait,
Yeah.
we still have to do the interview intro.
All right.
Well,
before we
listen,
do
that's-
bold predictions. We're gonna go over to Iron Goalie right now. Iron Goalie, go ahead. Please use that. Please.
Now we need an outro.
All right, that was Iron Goalie. He loves those Bobcats. I don't know if we talked about it in the interview, guys, because we're doing it later.
You can go ahead and assume that he did.
All right. That was Iron Goalie. Thank you very much for coming by. Hopefully we'll see a lot more from him in the upcoming transfer seasons. I guess we'll see what happens there. Guys, let's make some bold predictions.
I have one, but I don't want to go first.
All right. My bold prediction is that Ian's bold prediction will have something to do with Eddie Johnson's suspension.
I don't know
Okay.
how bold that is. All right, so my bold prediction is that. Oh, I'm looking at the slate of games. I don't see anything that really excites me too much. All right, here's my bold prediction. The amateur team PSA Elite is going to beat the Galaxy's Los Dos, and therefore Seattle will get to host an Open Cup game against all odds.
Against all odds.
PSA Elite is They advanced to that round because a team that's a lot better than them forfeited.
Ian, I'm aware this
Very
is a
sad.
bold prediction
This is
segment.
a
Okay.
bold prediction. All
Well,
right.
see, I have to contextualize it to make sure that the listeners understand how bold it is.
Yes, they did get to this round due to forfeit, and they are playing Los Dos. Although, Siggy Schmidt made a really good point, and not all of our listeners might know this, but similar to the way that national teams work, the U.S. Open Cup has a team cap policy. So as soon as you play for a team, including the USL Pro version of a bigger MLS club, you are locked to that team for the rest of the time. So I don't think the Galaxy is going to be sending nearly as many of their better players as they would typically in
Are
a
you serious?
standard.
Have you seen the Galaxy's lineup the last 2 times they've played in the Open Cup?
No.
They've come to Raleigh 2 straight years, and the biggest name on the field in both games was Jose Villarreal.
Okay, but here's what I'm saying. If they want to continue to do that, they need to send even worse players to Los Dos, because if they send them to Los Dos and they get cup capped, then they won't be able to play for their mediocre team that they send for the pro level.
I actually didn't know about that rule, and it makes it very interesting with all the partnerships this year. I know if Dayton Dutch Lions advance in the U.S. Open Cup, they're going to play the Columbus Crew, and half of the Dutch Lions starting lineup is players under contract with the Crew. So that's very interesting.
And the
That
same
works.
thing. The same thing is happening with the Sacramento Republic, because their best players are coming from San Jose, and if they advance through the third round, they're going to go to San Jose.
So we had 2 exact examples of this last year. Orlando City played SKC,
Right?
and SKC held out all of their loaned players to Orlando City, and Orlando City beat them anyway.
Right.
Um,
Right.
DC played Richmond, and DC had Richmond's goalie was Andrew Dykstra, who's our backup goalie right now, plus a couple of other players. We let them play for Richmond, and we beat them. So basically, if you don't let your loanees play for the team that they are at, then you're going to get karma fucked.
It's official.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to get that hashtag trending. Karma.
Hashtag karma fucked. I'm gonna go my bold prediction of the week. I'm gonna go. I don't usually do this because I'm not usually a doom and gloom kind of guy, but I'm gonna go against Columbus, and my bold prediction will be Chicago gets a 3rd win in a row.
On the road.
On the road in Columbus.
Wow, that is
I'm not gonna have a back line.
See, Josh made the bold prediction last week that Chicago was going to beat Kansas City.
I'm going for the. We're going for
and
the.
I made the bold prediction that they were going to do it in New York, and they did it.
Going for
Yeah,
the
so I'm
slashMLS
saying,
bold
is
prediction,
it bold?
Chicago.
Is it still bold to keep picking Chicago?
Yes, I'm still going to give that bold.
100%.
Fine. Here's my bold prediction. America only beats Azerbaijan by 2 goals. And everyone flips the fuck out.
Now, is that Monday? Is that happening before? Oh, and we are.
That's happening a week from this recording, so 5 or 6 days from when this goes out.
Okay. So that is a bold prediction. So give it to me one more time, since I decided to talk all over it.
When America plays Azerbaijan in wherever the fuck they play them, San Francisco.
Candlestick Park, yeah.
Yeah. They're only gonna win by 1 or 2 goals. And everyone's
Which is a travesty in your mind.
Because Azerbaijan's ranked something like 380th in the world or something. Even though there's only 200 FIFA.
There's that many countries.
Okay, that is a bold prediction, Ian.
All right, we've got some bold predictions. Let's see what happens. Thank you guys for joining us for this absolutely just clusterfuck of an episode. I've had a really good time, though. I'm gonna be honest.
Likewise.
It's been real. Thank you.